Hello, this is Geoff Walker with In-Depth Studies. Today we're going to look at Romans chapter 5, 12 through 14. This is that section 12 through 21, which is talking about the method that God uses to justify us is representation. That is, Jesus represents us on the cross, all those who are going to believe, just as Adam represented everybody in the garden. Verse 12 says, "Therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man," that's Adam, "and death through sin, and in this way death came to all people because all sinned." His argument is that sin, or I should say the result of sin is death. And 1 John 3:4 says, defines sin as breaking the law. So the concept is that if you break the law, you have sinned. If you have sinned, then death is the result. And so the whole idea here is that there are people who have died that we clearly question whether they could have broken the law. So verses 13 and 14 say, "To be sure, sin was in the world before the law was given." Now, when they say before the law was given, they're referring to Mount Sinai, the first formal giving of God's law, the Ten Commandments and Mosaic law. To be sure, sin was in the world before the law was given. Well, how do you know sin was in the world? Well, people were dying. And if you die, it's because you've sinned, and you've sinned because you've broken God's law. But sin is not charged against anyone's account when there is no law. That is, if there is no law, there can be no sin. And if there's no sin, then there can be no death. That's the argument. Nevertheless, death reigned from the time of Adam to the time of Moses, even over those who did not sin by breaking a command, as did Adam, who was a pattern of the one to come. So here in Romans 5, 12 through 14, they're discussing the whole concept of the result of sin is death. And of course, sin is the breaking of the law. If there's no law, there can be no sin. If there's no sin, there can be no death. But there seems to be death to people who we question, how could they have sinned? And we think of infants, that falls into this category. And so the result, the final argument is in verses 18 and 19 in Romans 5, where it says that Adam represented us in the garden. And when he sinned that first sin, he ate the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He represented us, and we are blamed for his sin. So that means that nobody who comes into the world, except Jesus, who is sinless, no one who comes into the world is without sin. We all come into the world already guilty of Adam's sin. So thank you very much. Check out our website, ids.org, and see you next time.